A very good evening to all pious yogis. This evening we shall discuss the opening passage of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Right at the beginning of this discourse, the Buddha said, Eka yano ayam bhikkhave. So, Eka means one, yana means way. So, ayana means the way. So, ekayana is one way, or sometimes translated as the only way. So, it's important to understand the significance of this word ekayana. So, this word ekayana is explained in 5 ways in the commentaries. The first explanation is that this is the single way. It doesn't branch off. So one can follow this way with an assurance from beginning to the final deliverance, liberation from samsara. And the second explanation is that this way has to be trodden alone. Even though meditators are practicing mindfulness in a group, but they are still going on their own way. Though yogis, meditators are practicing in a group, in fact, there's nobody with them. In other words, nobody can give his or her concentration and wisdoms to you, nor you can give your concentration wisdoms to others. So every mindfulness meditator has to put forth effort to develop mindfulness. When the mindfulness is constant and continuous, then meditators will gain a deep concentration. So the deep concentration here is Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, or Vipassana Samadhi. So when meditators have attained Vipassana Samadhi, Vipassana concentration, that concentration gives rise to wisdoms or insight knowledge. So it's not possible for one mindfulness meditators gives such wisdom or insight knowledge to others. It's because such wisdom has to be gained from personal experience or direct experience by the practice of mindfulness. So if we have understood this meaning, sometimes it's not so good to share the experiences of insight with other meditators. Other meditators who have not yet attained such insight knowledge, sometimes they may have the desire or craving to look or search for such experiences. So sometimes mindfulness meditators will discuss or talk among themselves about experiences or experience of insight knowledges and so on. By right, what should be discussed is how to increase the effort, how to develop constant mindfulness for a longer and longer period of time. So it's better to encourage your co-meditators the way to increase the effort in the practice, the way to become more skillful in the practice of mindfulness so that they can develop sharper mindfulness or attentive and precise mindfulness and gain concentration. In that way, the other co-meditators will gain personal experiential knowledge or direct experiential knowledge by themselves. Then the third explanation of this word ekayana means the way of the excellent one. So the way of the excellent one means the way discovered by the Buddha. And the fourth explanation is that it is the only way because this way leads the meditators only to one destination, that is to Nibbana. So, as you know, there's a Dhammapada verse or say that of all paths, the Eightfold Path is the best. Of all truths, the Four Noble Truths are the best. Of all things, the absence of craving. The absence of craving here in Pali is viraga. In the verse Nibbana is the best. Of all men, the seeing one, or the seeing one here refers to the Buddha, or is the best. Then the fifth explanation is that this is the only way to reach Nibbana. In other words, there is no other way. The Satipatthana or mindfulness way is the only way to reach Nibbana, to attain cessation of suffering, to attain destructions of mental defilements. So one has to rightly understand that the practice of mindfulness is the only way to attain Nibbana. When one develops mindfulness, one is in fact also develops the Noble Eightfold Path. It's because other factors of the path cannot arise without mindfulness. So with the arising of the factor of mindfulness, other factors will arise as well. So one of the Dhammapada verses also say that this is the only path and there's none other for the purity of visions, Visuddhi. So if one aspires to develop the path fully, then one must put forth strenuous effort. So it is important to understand these three words that you can see from this opening passage. There's ardent, atapi, sampajano, clearly comprehending, and satima, mindful. So only one is able to put forth strenuous effort into the practice of mindfulness, then one shall be able to comprehend clearly. So here, the word atapi means ardent. It comes from another word atapa. So here, atapa means the heat of the sun. So the heat of the sun can heat up things, for example, the leaves, the plants, so that they become wither or they may even burn. So similarly, the effort that heats up the mental defilements or burns them up, that effort is called atapa. So one who has atapa is called atapi. In other words, one possesses this quality of atapa is known as atapi. So if you, as a mindfulness meditators, do not possess this quality, then what will happen? Then you are not possible to burn the mental defilements. The mental defilements, kilesa, might consume you. You are consumed by your defilements. So that's why meditators have to increase mental effort gradually. Here, atapa is a sama vayama, right effort. So as long as meditators could not realize the true nature of mental and physical phenomena, meditators have not yet developed right effort, sama vayama. So meditators have to increase the mental effort gradually. Sometimes we explain the way of increasing effort by mental noting. For example, when the meditators are mindful of the bowing movements, when they are paying homage to the Buddha, then they have to mindful and note this process of bowing movements a few times. For example, bowing, 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 about 4 or 5 times. Meditators have to perceive the process of bowing movements well and make a mental noting. If the mindfulness is attentive and precise, the meditators shall realize that there's a series of processes of bowing movements. For example, 4 or 5 broken processes of bowing movements. Then meditators increase some effort so that the bowing movements getting slower and meditators are able to mindful and note about 6 or 7 times. If the mindfulness is attentive and precise, the meditators shall realize that there is a series of a broken process of bowing movements. For example, about 6 or 7 broken process of bowing movements. In other words, when meditators want to perceive that process of bowing movements in more details, they have to slow down the movements and increase the mental noting gradually. So mindfulness meditators are able to develop mindfulness in this way, especially when they are mindful of various process of movements in their daily routine activities and the walking meditations. If meditators have made progress in the mindfulness of daily routine activities and walking meditation, then most likely meditators shall be able to realize the process of rising movements and falling movements of the abdomen in more details. So effort is the foundation of the success in the practice of mindfulness. Then the second word, sampajana, clearly comprehending. One of the subjects of mindfulness in the Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of a body, is a sati sampajanya, mindfulness with clear comprehensions. So sampajanya means one who sees correctly, or one who knows correctly, entirely, and evenly, or equally. So here one see correctly, rightly. It means that meditators see the objects of phenomena of mindfulness meditation clearly and precisely. We did explain in the previous talk, for example, contemplating the body in the body, contemplating the feeling in the feeling, and so on. So here contemplating means mindfulness. It's not about thinking about the object. For example, when meditators are mindful of a physical phenomenon, for example, heat or hot, meditators will not regard this physical phenomenon as a feeling or sensations. Although usually most people will regard heat or hot as a sensation or feeling, whether hot sensation or feeling hot. So meditators must not confuse one thing with other things. They must be able to see clearly this is a mental process, this is physical process. So when meditators are able to develop constant and continuous mindfulness for a longer and longer period of time, and the mindfulness is attentive, precise, and energetic at each moment, then the mind is free from hindrances and other defilements. When the concentration is deep enough, meditators will begin to realize the specific characteristics of the mental and physical phenomena clearly. Meditators begins to see the process of movement clearly. For example, the process of rising movement clearly, the process of falling movements clearly. So in other words, meditators realize the process of rising movements is a process by itself. The process of falling movements is another process or another object by itself. So if the mindfulness is not sharp, meditators might perceive the movements of rising and falling as one process of mindfulness, one constant and continuous process of movements. So if the mindfulness is sharper, meditators will realize that mindfulness is one process, the movements of rising is another process. Then the process of falling movements is one process of mindfulness that perceives the falling movements is another process. So that's why meditators have to develop precise mindfulness. In other words, meditators have to put forth enough effort in order to perceive the movements of rising and falling, as well as other process of movements, other phenomena. They do not focus their attention on the abdomen or on the physical abdomen. Then the other meaning is one who knows entirely. So here one knows entirely, for example, the specific characteristic of a phenomenon and the common characteristics. So here entirely also covers other aspects of the ultimate reality, Paramatha Dhamma. So the Abhidhamma explains every Paramatha Dhamma in terms of characteristic, function, manifestations, and proximate cause. But during the practice of mindfulness meditation, it's not possible for meditators to identify or to analyze. For example, what is being mindful of is the characteristics or the function or the manifestation or the proximate cause of these phenomena. It's not possible to identify in this way during the practice. So meditators have to be mindful of every phenomenon and know it as it really occurs. Then the other words is one who knows equally or evenly. What is meant here is that mindfulness meditators must be able to keep the five mental faculties in balance. In other words, the five mental faculties must be working in harmony. So as long as the five mental faculties are not kept in balance and the faculties are not yet sharp, meditators will not be able to realize the true nature of mental and physical phenomena clearly. So in this opening passage, only this effort is mentioned. Effort here means ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful. But in the actual practice, mindfulness should come before clear comprehension. Sometimes meditators are mindful of various phenomena, yet they are not able to realize the specific characteristics and the common characteristics of the phenomena clearly. This because mindfulness is not sharp, or in other words, not yet precise and attentive. And the other thing is that the concentration is not yet deep enough. So though concentration is not yet mentioned here, but if the concentration is not deep enough, then it's not possible to comprehend clearly the true nature of the mental and physical phenomena. So meditators have to develop concentration in the practice of mindfulness. When meditators are mindful of a phenomenon and making mental note, for example, pain, meditators also putting effort to develop concentration at the same time. But at that time, the concentration is not yet clear. So meditators have to put forth effort so that the mindfulness is getting more attentive, precise, and energetic. Meditators are able to put forth a strenuous effort into the practice because they have saddha or confidence in the practice. So in other words, if there's a saddha, confidence in the practice, that this practice will lead to the attainment of enlightenment, then meditators will put forth strenuous effort in the practice. So if meditators are able to put forth strenuous effort with viriya, then the mindfulness will become more and more constant and continuous. So when there's constant and continuous mindfulness, and the mind is free from 5 mental hindrances and other defilements, then meditators will attain a concentration. So when there's a deep concentration, in the words Khanika Samadhi, Vipassana Samadhi, then clear comprehension, sampajanya arises. So that clear comprehension leads to arising of wisdom, panya. So in those meditators must be endowed with these mental faculties: saddha, confidence, viriya, effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, panya, wisdoms. So meditators have to keep the faculty of saddha should be kept in balance with the faculty of panya. And meditators have to keep the other two faculties, viriya, effort, and samadhi, concentration, in balance. But the faculty of mindfulness need not be kept in balance with any faculties. Meditators have to develop stronger and stronger mindfulness. The stronger, the better. So it's not possible to say that mindfulness is too strong. Most of the time, mindfulness meditators are lacking of mindfulness. Lacking of mindfulness is known as pamada, heedlessness. The word apamada also means mindfulness. The opposite of apamada is pamada, or pamada means heedlessness or forgetful. Sometimes meditators are very forgetful. So when meditators become forgetful, then they also do not have mindfulness at that time. So it is also the faculty of mindfulness that keep the other faculties in balance. In other words, mindfulness keeps saddha and panya in balance. Mindfulness also keeps viriya and samadhi in balance. So meditators need not have to analyze during the practice about the balancing of faculties. But sometimes meditators who have not yet accumulated enough experiences in mindfulness meditations, they might need a teacher or very experienced meditators to point out about their mistake. For example, effort is not kept in balance with concentration and so on. So meditators who have not yet gained enough experience might not able to see clearly that it is the mindfulness that keep the faculties in balance. If meditators have confidence in the practice, and then they can put aside two types of knowledge. There is Sutta Maya Panya and Cinta Maya Panya. Then these two faculties will be kept in balance. Sutta Maya Panya refers to the knowledge gained by listening or hearing from others. It also includes knowledge gained by reading the book on Vipassana and so on. Cinta Maya Panya is the knowledge gained through one's own reasoning or thinking. So meditators have to put aside these two types of knowledge so that they can gain Bhavana Maya Panya, knowledge gained through mental development, truly. So in the actual practice of mindfulness meditation, we do not tell the meditators to see or to perceive the movements, for example, the changes of movements, or to see that there's a long process movements, short process of movements, and so on. So sometimes when a teacher gives merely instructions how to practice mindfulness, how to note the object, then some mindfulness meditators, after practicing for quite some time, they do not know or gain any experiences. Then either the teacher or his good friends in the practice mindfulness meditation might tell him or her, you should try to see that the movement is long or short or quick or slow and so on. Then they only begin to mindful of the process movements as long process or as short process or as the rapid process or slow process. Then they only think that they gain these experiences. Then they actually become more mindful of such experience. In that way, such mindfulness meditators might not be able to gain intuitive insight knowledge clearly. So in actual practice and instructions, actually instruction is merely about how to develop the mindfulness, how to note the phenomenon as it is. So there's no hint about what to look for, what experience to gain. So that's why the significant meaning of ekayana is that every mindfulness meditators has to put forth effort to develop their own mindfulness, concentration, and wisdoms. Then the other two faculties, virya, effort, and samadhi, concentration, need to be kept in balance. So in the practice, meditators have to put forth enough effort in the practice. If the effort is weak, most likely meditators may fall into sluggishness or drowsiness or sleepiness. If the effort is too strong, that strong effort causes restlessness in the mind. So this is explains in the scriptures about effort. When effort is too weak, the mind can become sluggish, sleepy, drowsy. If the effort is too strong, the mind may become restless. But in the actual practice, as long as the effort is not enough, then sleepiness can arise, or the mind can wander away, far away. If the effort is strong enough, then hindrances, for example, sloth and torpor or tinamita, such as sleepiness, drowsiness, cannot arise. If the effort is strong enough, if this hindrance, for example, drowsiness, meditators could perceive its arising of drowsiness instantly. Or when the meditators feel a little bit of drowsy or sleepy, the mindfulness will be arising and mindful and note it instantly. So when meditators could practice well, sometimes the concentration is getting better and better. When the concentration is getting better and better, meditators may be able to perceive the movements of rising falling clearly and easily. Then meditators might think that they do not have to put effort into it anymore. So in that way, effort is getting weaker, concentration is stronger, so it can lead to the arising of sloth and torpor, or sleepiness or sluggishness of the mind. So meditators have to keep these two mental faculties, viriya and samadhi, in balance during the practice. So when the 5 mental faculties are kept in balance, then meditators will know the phenomenon correctly or rightly, entirely and equally or evenly. So when there's clear comprehension, there's mindfulness. But sometimes meditators are mindful of various phenomena. They might not have gained these clear comprehensions. So in other words, meditators have to develop constant and continuous mindfulness in order to attain deeper and deeper concentrations. When meditators are able to mindful and note from one moment to next moment, meditators are also develop concentration from one moment to next moment. For example, when meditators are mindful of painful sensation, sometimes the painful sensation is quite persisting. If meditators did not make mental noting, then they might perceive this process of painful sensation last long and it doesn't change much. So sometimes meditators begin to make mental noting. They may come to experience that this process of painful sensation is increasing and then decreasing and so on. So meditators might think that it is the same process of the painful sensation that's subject to increasing, decreasing. But if meditators can mindful and note the painful sensation attentively, precisely, from one moment to next moment, then meditators will not perceive that painful sensation is a long process. So when meditators are able to mindful and note from one moment to next moment, then the mind also concentrates on that painful sensation from one moment to next moment. So when meditators are able to concentrate the mind on that painful sensation from one moment to next moment, meditators also gain the experience of the painful sensation from one moment to next moment. So when the mindfulness is getting stronger, more attentive and precise, then the concentration on the painful sensation also become clear from one moment to next moment. So when the concentration is clear and deep, meditators also see clearly that the painful sensation is also last from one moment to next moment. Then meditators will come to realize that the painful sensation is only last for a moment when they mindful and know it. Then in the next moment, another painful sensation arising, meditators mindful and know it. That painful sensation also lasts for a moment. So in that way, meditators will not see a continuity of painful sensations. So meditators have to concentrate the practice on development of momentary mindfulness, momentary concentration, momentary experience. In other words, when meditators are able to gain vipassana samadhi, then they will gain vipassana knowledge. So meditators have to be mindful of the various mental and physical phenomena. And mindful of a mental phenomenon which is arising at that present moment is more important than mindful of a physical object or bodily sensation. It's because meditation is mental training, mental culture, or mental development. Right at the beginnings of this opening passage, the Buddha said, this is the only way for the purification of beings, Satanam Visuddhiya. In other words, mindfulness is the way to purify the mind from all kinds of mental defilements or kilesa. So when the mind is fully purified, then one will overcome sorrow, lamentation, pain, and grief in the world. So in the opening passage, say that removing covetousness and grief in the world. Here the world doesn't mean the earth. So the word world, loka. So you know the meaning of the loka in this opening passage of the sutta. So here the world is, we can say, your inner world or the sankhara loka, the world of formation, or the world of conditioned formation. So the world of formation consists of the conditioned mental and physical phenomena, or the five aggregates of clinging. So if anyone aspires to remove covetousness and grief in their world, then they must follow the only way. That's the practice of four foundations of mindfulness. So I wish all mindfulness meditators, those followers of the Triple Gem, will be heedful to the teaching of Buddha that this is the way to overcome covetousness and grief in one's own world and attain liberation from samsara eventually.
สาธุ สาธุ สาธุ